I can see them.
A good person to take on that role as facilitator. He's got some extra, taken on some extra responsibilities, so it may not be possible to get Bruce, but we will be looking for a suitable other person if he can't do it. So that is still on the agenda and still needs to be actioned. The committee structure review, this item goes hand in hand with the terms of reference. So once this is done, we'll be able to update those terms of reference. And the last point on this action listing is actually a duplicate. So I suggest we take that off the list as well. Any comments on the editors? Anything you want edited?
Perhaps I could move then that the action list be received and that the items Reserve Bank, Audit Review Document, Risk Management Manual Amendment and Committee Structure at the bottom be removed from next month's report.
I think we're keeping committee structure on. Yes.
That's the last one, committee structure review.
Yeah.
Did you ask that?
There's one after that on the next page.
Oh, it's the next page. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
So terms of reference.
Sorry, Leslie. Yep. So it's the updated TOR.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
no presentations today, so if we move to the staff reports, we can zoom in. Finance to we might be quickly on this.
It would appear that staff member is not able to join us today. This is the quarterly report for quarter 2 July to December. Actually should be September to December. Included within this report would normally include non-financial information. However, we've just given a line item that all managers are at this moment in time expecting to meet their KPIs. So we haven't actually carried out any detailed assessment of that. The actual finance itself, it looks very good. This is mainly down to the fact that we've received quite a lot of grant funding. However, the P&L, the grant funding goes through the P&L, yet the expenditure goes through the balance sheet. So it's offsetting expenditure in another area, but it does make the P&L look like we are very much in a positive situation. The finance manager has now joined us, if you would like him to continue.
Good afternoon, Your Worship, Councillors and Chair of the Committee. I would like to take the report as read, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer this.
Any questions from councillors?
Through you, Madam Chair. Can you give us a broad brush view of how we're going P&L wise and how we're going balance sheet wise?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the P&L, I think we have a surplus of 5.3 billion at the moment. That's largely because of the grants received from the government for various projects, including PGF grants. In terms of the expenditure, it's mainly within the budget, but there are some expenditure items like employee benefit expenditure and depreciation, which are higher than the budgeted. That's mainly because of depreciation is higher, mainly because of the last year capitalization, and which we didn't budget for when we do the annual plan. And the salary is higher because of few reasons, and we brought the museum staff back in council, and also now we have a HR function inside which we didn't budget for. So apart from those two, I think all the other expenses are within our budget. So overall, in terms of I think we are in a good, strong position. So in terms of the balance sheet, so we have around 13.9 million cash. That includes 10.9 million of term deposits, which includes a pre-funded loan of 3 million, and also we have the receivers of grants from the government. So we invested those money until we need them in term deposits. So in terms of balance sheet, I think we're in a good position as well.
Could I, through the chair, just add the 3 million is pre-funding of the loan that will be repaid in May. So that loan will be repaid.
Sorry, through you, Chair. Just around the debt responsible camping grant that has not received. Is there a hold up? What's the hold up with that? Because it's quite substantial, obviously, isn't it? It's 590. 1,000 or something, isn't it? Is that just from their end?
I'm not quite sure as to what the reason is, but I can follow up and give an update.
So it's just quite substantial sitting on our. Yeah. So from me.
very unusual for me, that I actually have virtually no questions whatsoever on the finance report, and that's because it was very comprehensive. As I worked my way through it and found things that I wanted to ask questions on, I mean, we found the answer in the rest of the papers. So I thought it was an excellent report.
Thank you.
We'd like to move that the quarterly report for September to December 2020, spoken to by the Finance Manager, be received. Thank you. We can move to the Audit Management Report.
Good afternoon, through the chair. I will take the report as read, but what I will say is that this again is an improvement on previous years, so I think we're moving in the right direction. I think our IBIS system helped us because we've not been scrabbling around at the last minute. We have a lot of information ready for audit this time, which we would normally be at the last minute with. But thanks to our IBIS system and the staffing, we've actually been able to, I think they do comment on that in the audit report, that we were in a very good position with our reporting this year. Just a few new items. Very few recommendations, and none of those were deemed as urgent. Happy to answer any questions on it.
Well done. It's good to see that improvement, isn't it?
Certainly is.
Just one question through you, Madam Chair. With the almost doubling of council's revenue this year because of the projects that are on, is your team adequately staffed?
So I believe the finance team is for business as usual. Haven't got a problem there. The issue, I think, is with it being LTP and the delays that we've got already on the LTP process, as probably will put us in a bit of a position later on. But again, our IBIS system is just actually been so good and really helpful to us that I haven't got a problem with that side of it. It's more writing the document and getting the strategies completed. But the delay in the infrastructure strategy, that's put all the rest of the strategies behind. But the actual finances we can put together very quickly with IBIS.
So business as usual is going is adequately covered. What about the myriad of projects that are coming through? They must be placing some impact on it.
Yeah, so we have, at the end of last year, we got a new management accountant. That was a new role that was budgeted. And that was really to help with the projects and capital, and it supports the district assets team. So I see that as being something which, with those big projects, that will be a big help to that. We can save the rest of the team, they don't have to do that. And then when it becomes settled down a bit, they'll be in more of a position to manage the data between the district assets and the finance team, make sure that they're involved in any fixed register reconciliations and making sure that's correct. So a lot of work can be done there, even in BAU.
So I'd just like to say congratulations, Leslie. It's a massive job, and to have no urgent items, and some of the items are we can fix pretty easily. So yeah, well done.
Thank you. I'll pass that on to the team.
I have a couple of points which I thought were interesting. Page 39, 1.1, new recommendations, reporting on the DIA and mandatory performance measures, which I think is necessary. I don't know if other people have seen this, but I'm assuming it's a diagram yet. I want you to report against relationship between each and that, etc., etc. I personally, not being with the office, I actually question the value of the work that will be involved in doing additional reporting. I just wondered what management think of it.
Yes, this is an area that's perhaps been on our audit management report for some time in one way or another, and quite a lot of it comes down to the fact that it isn't beneficial for us to actually carry out that extra work, and it's not cost effective. It's because it's mandatory KPIs that it comes up on the report every year. But there are, with the amount of rain we have here, for example, there are some of these measures which require that's right, and it doesn't make sense for us to actually put that extra cost and time into doing that. So some of them they could potentially be on here every year because we do push back and say it's not worth it for us to do that. It's not giving the community any extra benefit from seeing it or not seeing it. Yeah.
So it was actually those things that were not a new project.
No.
That's okay, because I did look at this and I thought, just don't see the value.
No.
Through you, Madam Chair. On the same page, there's the heading Councillor Remuneration Overpayment. Our councillors sit around the table and we are the ultimate decision makers, and we have made the decision. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of story.
Just on that, we had conversations with Audit over that, and the problem is the tool that we use to actually inform the remuneration committee, and that only has one line for a chair and one line for a deputy mayor. So I think there's been a confusion in what we've tried to do and what they've come up with because of that tool. But Audit have said that we're only allowed to give them one extra, it's either deputy mayor or a chair. But we've looked and looked and looked through the remuneration policy and rules and can't find that anywhere. There's nothing in there that says you can only give them either a deputy mayor or a chair. So we have pushed back on that. We will talk to the remuneration committee, but they also mentioned here about the pool. The pool has been fully committed.
And at the end of the day, Audit, we appreciate what Audit do. However, it's not their role to make governance decisions or to create staff work on something that's being decided. We made a decision fully informed around the table, and that's the end of it. As far as I'm concerned, that's it should never have come up.
But if the Audit Office can't find a regulatory item, piece of legislation or regulation saying it shouldn't happen, then perhaps we should ask them.
Absolutely.
Okay. On page 40, they actually, the declaration of interest, they give us beneficial. Right down the box at the top, I actually think that should go up. I know I'm pretty keen the Audit Office report, but I think in that respect, in terms of protecting people from wild and weird accusations, it's actually better that that becomes unnecessary. But again, it's beneficial what we've got, but I think in terms of protecting people, it's always a good idea to keep those things up to date. And this one, actually, you guys circulated 6 months in, which is really good practice.
That's right, and we also have an automated system now to ensure that does go out every 6 months, and also require you get reminders if you don't fill it in, basically nagging as it's cut, and the system automatically does that. So
you could do it with the system so your pay can't be activated until you actually fill them off. Creative writing.
Good idea.
I'm sure they can do that.
I just wanted to again compliment the team on 2.4. Councillors are happy for the audit of that program. It's again been a very busy year with a lot of changes. It's bringing out work on top of the LTP and everything else. I think it should be noted. I've done my notes, but then there's people asking questions, sometimes it's not a question anymore because someone's already asked it. Officers report. Happy to move that the report be received. And except for the report to the year and the 30th of June 2020. So that takes us to the rolling audit then.
So really, I just brought this, tidied it up a little bit and made it into, rather than monthly as we had it previously, into quarterly, but also an FYI in September. As regards to really, we prefer the document to actually be reviewed, if at all possible, by the Audit Risk Committee to make a recommendation to Council. But with timing, it just depends whether we can get that time right to be able to do that for the before it's actually completed. Other than that, there's not too much of an update on the items that were on here previously. I think we need to wait until we've discussed the committee structure and the terms of reference before we can update this much further.
Also, the workshop.
Yes, yeah.
Any thought on any additional work from the committee in terms of reviewing the long-term purpose? Anything where the committee can be helpful in that process? I see we're in the FMA for reviewing.
Yeah, the problem we have again now, especially after the audit conversation I had with audit on Friday, that they are going to have to delay the audit a week at the end. So that means we'll be going out for consultation a week later, which puts us in a bit of a position to try and get everything done then before we actually have to adopt. So it's a case of, again, if we can get timings right, if we can get the information to us and we can get it into the actual documents, then you're in a position to be able to review it. But again, with audit now changing the dates, we're not quite sure where we are. It's put us up in the air a little bit on that. But certainly I would see that the Audit Risk Committee, as part of their role, is to be able to review the consultation document and the long-term plan draft before it actually goes out for consultation or even audit.
From my point of view, I'm sure I speak for the committee that will be expecting to the process. Thank you. Any further comments or thoughts on the rolling report?
Just one question. Historically, and moving into not this year's audit, but next year's audit and looking ahead, historically, the tie-up with the CCO audits and ours, we've often been left exposed due to problems with the CCO audits. Can we have any influence on them putting more resources into ensuring that doesn't happen? Is it?
Yes, I mean, it has been part of the conversation with them for quite some time, but to be absolutely fair, they've done a really good job.
Yep.
The delay last year, they put a lot of things in place. They were well ahead of where they usually are, but then it was audit that actually had the resourcing issues and couldn't actually complete the audits on time. I think West Roads went nearly a month where partway through the audit they had to stop. So that was actually an audit issue. It wasn't the CCOs. They were in a really good position.
Right.
West Roads were well ahead.
So is there any comeback, or is there any way that we can get audit to be more focused on Westland rather than Auckland?
Their reason last time was that it was because of COVID. So generally they resource the lower staffing through getting people in from overseas, and of course for COVID they couldn't bring people in, so they couldn't get those resources. We've had a discussion about that today, and probably, may play some part of it, but you're right, we are kind of at the end of the pecking list. Potentially that's because we've never been in a position to be earlier, whereas we are a bit better now. And we probably could be, but they're kind of setting their ways into who they do first, and they've got quite a process on that. You've
very widely experienced, have you had relationships with audit and been able to manoeuvre them to respond, to put us further up the ladder? Have you ever had any experience with them?
I do have quite a lot to do with them in other roles, and I personally believe that they could be more flexible in the way, and perhaps introduce a bit of diversity into their thinking and the way they carry out work level. But I've got no influence over that. However, we do have the audit officers meetings with all the chairs of audit risk committees, and we had one last week. I think it was particularly large about content. And one of the councils did raise in there with the audit officers' ability to, or how were they going to confirm that they were going to deliver a quality and timely audit of long-term things? And the answer was not straightforward, with nothing regular with it. So, and again, that was for councils, including Auckland. So, and I do know that some councils were waiting quite a lot longer than we were to get audits. And it's actually, I understand also from some of the firms, there's quite a shortage of financial auditors within the sector. But having said that, and speaking personally, I believe they could use internal audit and some of those types of professional skills to audit some of the operational issues. Quite a reasonable, quite a large part of the long-term plans, but in terms of getting them to think outside the square and all those other cliches, so I have no influence whatsoever. So I can say the question was put by one council. Any further comment on the role of the thing? Okay, so we move that the Audit Risk Committee role will be in 2021 spoke to the local energy corporate services we received. And I will now move that we go into the Audit Risk Committee, move into the public exclusion session.